Hey guys, it's movie time, and welcome back to the Film Archives, the channel where we break down movies so you don't have to, unless of course you want to keep your sanity. And in today's episode, we're diving headfirst into Malignant, the 2021 horror film directed by none other than James Wan, the genius behind Saw, Insidious, and the Conjuring universe. So you know it's going to be a wild ride. Let's get into it. So we start off strong with Malignant. We're in a hospital and some guy named Gabriel is on a rampage, killing staff like it's his full-time job. And let me tell you, this man's got a gift for destruction. One nurse tries to warn the security guard, but the guard, doing his guard job, tries to hit him with a tranquilizer dart. Yeah, it goes about as well as you think. Gabriel snaps his arm like it's made of toothpicks. Rip security guard. But don't worry, the doctor goes full Rambo and takes over with the tranquilizer gun. Finally, Gabriel's strapped down and stopped. He's been a bad boy.
Been a bad boy, Gabriel.
And as the doctor puts it, they must cut out the cancer. We also learn that Gabriel can control electricity and that he can broadcast his thoughts telepathically through speakers, which is cool, I guess. So Gabriel, being super extra, decides to broadcast his evil thoughts through the speakers, and he's like, I'm gonna kill them all. And at this point, I'm thinking, bro, just nuke the guy and it's over. But no, we gotta have a movie so that doesn't happen. Spoiler alert, Gabriel's not exactly the kind of guy you can just cut out. We then fast forward to the present day and are introduced to our main character, Energy. Enter Madison Mitchell, played by Annabelle Wallis. She returns home early from work, not feeling well, because, surprise, she's pregnant. However, her piece of trash, abusive husband Derek argues with Madison,
my character! I'm the trash man!
About her multiple miscarriages, and then smashes Madison's head against the wall, drawing blood. Real piece of shit. Madison then locks herself in her room, and we see a ghostly figure of a person entering their house and murdering her husband Derek. However, when Madison wakes up, we see that her head is still bleeding, and she finds Derek's corpse before being knocked unconscious by the ghostly intruder. Rip Madison's head, because that was a hell of a hit. Shortly after, the police arrive on the scene and begin to investigate Derek's murder. And fun fact, the CSI technician, Winnie, yeah, she's played by James Wan's wife, Ingrid Bisu. Pretty romantic, right? Madison then wakes up in the hospital with her sister Sydney by her side. Sydney informs her of what happened, that Derek is dead, and that she sadly lost her unborn baby in the attack. Very sad stuff. Madison decides to tell her sister Sydney that she was adopted by Sydney's mother when she was 8 years old, and she has no memories of her prior life. So Madison is sent to the hospital, and 2 weeks later she gets out, but things are, let's just say, complicated. She starts seeing visions of murders. Madison then has a vision of the doctor, Dr. Weaver from earlier in the movie, being brutally bludgeoned and murdered by the killer, and this is some super brutal stuff. We are then shown a woman who is running a Seattle Underground tour, which is a city underneath a city. After a fire in 1889, Seattle decided to rebuild the new city on top of the old city, which was 1 story higher, in order to stave off the flooding. However, the woman who is giving the tours is actually kidnapped by the ghostly figure, who we find out is actually Gabriel from the intro of the movie. Now, a real flesh and blood killer. Now, Gabriel is on the loose. We don't know what's real, and neither does Madison. It's like a terrifying mind game at this point. So we find out that Dr. Weaver was actually indeed brutally bludgeoned to death and murdered. The police arrive at the crime scene and investigate Dr. Weaver's murder, where they find a picture of Madison as a child, and discover that Dr. Weaver actually specialized in child reconstructive surgery. Madison then has another vision of Gabriel murdering a doctor by the name of Victor Fields, which was another doctor from the beginning of the movie that actually treated Gabriel. This is very brutal stuff, and also a very well done scene, as the person who plays Gabriel is actually Marina Mazepa, a Ukrainian actress, model, dancer, and really good contortionist. Like, just take a look at this. Incredible. Madison's head continues to bleed, which at this point would be cause for alarm for me. Like, I would go to the hospital, But that's just me, dog. That's just me. But at this point, Madison and Sydney decide to go to the police for help, explaining Madison's visions of the murders. The detectives decide to investigate and find the crime scene of Victor Fields based on the information from Madison's vision. Madison receives an unknown phone call from the killer, who reveals himself to be, dun dun dun, Gabriel, none other than Gabriel.
Hi.
At this point, Madison and Sydney decide to pay a visit to their mother, where they discover and learn that Gabriel was actually Madison's imaginary friend, but may also be someone that she knew before her adoption. So we may have a possible DID/schizophrenia split type moment type deal type situation here. The detective Kakoa Shaw manages to find a connection between the doctors John Gregory, Victor Fields, and Madison hidden within Dr. Weaver's personal records, leading him to discover the grisly murder of Dr. Gregory, who has been brutally killed by, you guessed it, Gabriel. Detective Shaw arrives on the scene to investigate and is promptly attacked by Gabriel himself. They get into a brief chase, and Gabriel manages to flee into the Seattle underground and eventually evades the detective. We get some real parkour here. It's pretty sick, to be honest. Pretty goddamn cool. The detectives eventually decide to enlist the help of a psychiatric hypnotherapist in order to help unlock Madison's repressed memories. Madison recalls that her birth name is actually Emily May, and that Gabriel, her imaginary friend, almost led her to kill Sydney while Sydney was still in her mother's womb. After Sydney was born, Madison forgot about Gabriel and moved on. As the hypnotherapist and the detectives are interviewing Madison, we see the woman that was kidnapped by Gabriel earlier from the Seattle Underground tour actually escapes from her bindings and falls through the roof and from the attic inside of Madison's home, which reveals that Gabriel was actually secretly living up there, kind of just being a Frogger type situation. At this point, the police believe Madison to be the murderer because motive, evidence, many other reasons, and the police arrest her and place her in a holding cell where they question her. However, Gabriel calls Madison's cell phone and he begins to taunt the detectives over the phone. Insane. It's just insane, guys. Madison's sister Sydney goes to the now abandoned Simeon Research Hospital and learns that Gabriel was actually Madison's parasitic twin brother. Yeah, you heard that right. Her parasitic twin that was growing out of her back and on the back of her head. This is actually a real condition called craniopagus parasiticus, and it's extremely rare, occurring in about 4 to 6 out of every 10 million births. The kidnapped woman who fell through the roof is then revealed to be Madison's biological mother, whose name is Serena. We see that she is taken to a nearby hospital. Pretty cool. Pretty cool stuff. We come to learn that Dr. Weaver surgically removed most of Gabriel's body, but they could not destroy his brain without killing Madison. So they sealed his brain inside Madison. Talk about a mental prison, you know what I'm saying, guys? It's brutal. She resorted to sealing him inside Madison's cranium, where he actually remained dormant until the altercation earlier with Derek, where Derek bashed Madison's head against the wall. And yeah, it's pretty bad. And since they share the same brain, Gabriel is able to trick Madison into thinking she's just living her life as normal, while he takes complete control of her body, essentially placing Madison in a mental prison. Can you imagine that, fam? You're trapped in your mind by your own mind. That could possibly be the worst experience of all time. It's going to be a no for me, dog. Once freed, Gabriel was able to take full control of Madison's body in order to commit all of these murders. Insane, dude. Insane. Madison is then attacked by the other inmates inside the police holding cell. However, Gabriel takes over Madison's body and he kills all of the inmates and most of the precinct's officers in a scene that is honestly so over the top, it's hard to describe just how insane this was. Like, just take a sneak peek and look at this. Insane. Insane in the membrane. Pun intended. You get it? Bruh, the way Gabriel walks around and does things backwards because his face is literally on the back of Madison's head is just so unsettling. But I kind of love it. It's giving straight up Resident Evil Nemesis vibes. We know these vibes, and we like these vibes. And I will say the one thing I didn't like about this scene is that out of the entire police building, the only 2 cops who don't get nuked are, of course, the 2 detectives that have been investigating Gabriel and Madison's murders. Like, the plot armor goes brah, brah, brah. It goes hard, bro. It goes super hard. Gabriel manages to kill essentially all of the officers and escapes from the police building, and then makes his way to where his biological mother, Serena, is, in the hospital recovering. He is then intercepted by Sydney and the detective Kakoa Shaw, but Gabriel quickly immobilizes them. It's brutal stuff. Sydney tells Madison that Gabriel actually caused her previous miscarriages by feeding off of them in order to build himself back up, which is just downright fucked up. And right as Gabriel is attempting to kill Sydney for replacing him in Madison's life, Madison manages to wake up and takes back control of her body. It's insane. In the black mindscape of her subconscious, she is able to lock an enraged Gabriel behind bars. However, Gabriel promises her that he will escape one day, to which Madison says she knows and she will be ready. However, with his influence gone, Gabriel's face manages to go back inside Madison's skull, which probably wouldn't happen, but it's cool nonetheless. Like, just take a look at this. So in the hospital, Madison manages to lift off the bed that is pinning Sydney and tells her that she will always love her. And even though they are not related by blood, she will always be her sister. Very happy moment. Madison's biological mother, Serena, looks at them both happily, and the camera pans out, and we hear Gabriel's faint electric buzzing, which indicates that his presence is still with Madison. Fade to black, roll the credits, the movie ends. So, is Malignant worth watching? I think so. Malignant is part horror, part thriller, and 100% just wild. James Wan really said, let's make the most insane, bonkers horror movie ever. And boy, did he deliver. Did he deliver. I like that they used bizarre medical anomalies as the basis of this movie. However far-fetched it may be, it's cool that it's based on some real case studies and some real events, you know. I thought that was a neat touch. And I like that it had a lot of thriller aspects and a lot of action scenes. It didn't rely on cheap jump scares. It was mostly just an unsettling and overall creepy vibe. And of course, you can't go wrong with James Wan. He always makes pretty solid films, you know. If you're a fan of action, horror, and thriller, this is one movie you're definitely going to want to watch. Alright, if you liked the breakdown, don't forget to smash that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you're new for more movie breakdown stuff. I upload new videos just like this one every single week. And comment down below with your thoughts on Malignant. Would you survive if your parasitic twin tried to murder you? Let me know. And if you have any suggestions for a breakdown on a movie you'd like to see, make sure to comment those down below as well. I love to see your guys' suggestion. As always, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate all of your support. Stay tuned for the next movie breakdown when we try to make sense of yet another film that may or may not make you want to sleep with the lights on. Much love to you all, and bye!